Welcome to our annual little get-together as we, any excuse to drink a glass of champagne with you fine chaps. And no ladies present, but anyway. So, as usual, I'm going to give you an update on a few changes coming up in the calendar and in the system going forward, and a little update on where we are generally in the sport. So, the first announcement today is confirmation of the change in prize monies for our blue ribbon event, the World Snooker Championships. We've had a meteoric rise in prize money in the 8 years since World Snooker was taken over. I won't bore you with the details, but there again, it started off at 3.5 million for 5 or 6 events. This year it will be just a bit shy of 14 million. Next year the prize money increases to over 15 million. And we're on our way for a achievable 20 million prize fund within the next couple of years. I'm very happy with that. It's been a great journey. I've had a lot of fun doing it, and I've been blessed to work with the best team in administration, commercials, and event officiating at World Snooker. I mean, a tribute to the Bristol office. When I took over, they were promoting 5 or 6 events a year. Now they're doing nearly 30. And yet, I don't think there's more than perhaps half a person extra. Now, either they were having an easy run of it, or they are working at flat-out pace. And I think they're working flat-out pace. They're a brilliant team of organisers. I'm honoured to have them working for us. And I think snooker's a major beneficiary of everyone involved on the administration side. The World Championships next year, there is a sheet of prize money for you, which Ivan's got, which will show you that the winner's cheque next year's event will be £500,000. The total prize money will be £2.25 million. The second round losers will get £10,000. So again, this is something I shall go into more detail on, but we're going to make quite a few prize money changes next year. But the concentration of those changes, other than the World Championships, will be predominantly at the second and third round loser stage. We are seeing the prize money going deeper into the 128 pros, and I want to accelerate that to make sure that these guys who I demand show me total dedication to their sport, total concentration to their sport. I've got to let them breathe. I've got to let them feed themselves and their families. So we are going to make a push into the lower ranks of prize money to make their life not easy, just a little bit easier. We do need, as I said jokingly to Mark Williams a few minutes ago, one of the rings I wanted to bring in was any winner over 40 years old loses half his prize money to go to younger players, and Williams wasn't really in favour of that. But we do need to encourage the younger people, and we need to show them not just the amount of money they can win at the very top of it, but along the way they can survive. So prize money, I'm very happy. The 20 million target has always been in the back of my head. I'm not sure I really believed it was achievable, but we are now gaining momentum and looking closer and closer to getting it. We're in talks with a number of new ranking events next year. I'd be happy to get one more, frankly, but I'll get it at the price I want, not at a price that's just to create another event, because we don't need it. The schedule of the World Championships remains unchanged. It's untouchable. Another interesting move for us to show that when you get to the top of your tree, you deserve the rewards that your ability demands, is that ITV next year will add the Tour Championships to their ITV schedule. So we will go top 32 on a one-year list for the World Grand Prix, top 16 for the Players' Championships, and then a top 8 for the Tour Championships. I make no apology for nicking this idea off the FedEx Cup, but if it works for them, I'm sure it's going to work for us. Along the way, we also see changes in formats and structures. So, for example, in the Tour Championships, the matches will be decided over the best of 17, the best of 19, and the best of 25. So each of those 3 events will accelerate through. Again, Ivan will have a list of the prize money structure for the ITV events outside for you, which shows that you win the World Grand Prix, you get 100, the Players is 125, the Tour Championships is 150, and so it accelerates. But those 3 events can make a decent season into a great season. And of course, what I love about it is open to everybody on the first day of the season. Whether you come out of Q School or whether you've just won the World Championships, you start at the same starting point. Completely open field. So well done to ITV for backing us, and I'm looking forward to seeing what shocks and surprises we get. One of the most amazing things is on the way, I'm very happy with the formats we've got now. And there's no surprises. The top 16 in the world are the best 16 players in the world because it's been open to everybody. So no, there's no dispute over that. And I think this Tour Championship structure rewards those guys. ITV also extended their contract for another 2 years up to 2020. And the shootout has been, in a major coup, transferred from ITV to Quest and British Eurosport for the next 7 years. So whilst the shootout is not necessarily everybody's favourite on the traditionalists, which I understand, tough shit. It's here for 7 years and it creates stories and drama that I want to see. And if anyone doesn't like the shootout, please go in a dark room with Michael Giorgio and explain why it's a bad idea. We need to give different types of entertainment to our customers, whether they're a live audience or whether they're a TV audience. We need to have the odd quirky thing. We are not just standard traditionalists in today's world. And the shootout ticks those boxes for me. As does the other box that I'm looking at the moment, which is called the average shot time. This is throwing up some very interesting figures. And we're not going to get too dictatorial over this, but it's quite clear that we're in the entertainment business. It's also quite clear that some of the players don't actually recognise we're in the entertainment business. Whether or not these slower players are naturally slow, have got used to being slow, or are using it as a form of gamesmanship, I don't know. But what we've decided to do is we're going to run a system for the next 12 months and we will publish, some people may say name and shame, the slowest players every 3 months to give them an opportunity to get their act together and realise that we're in the entertainment business. Of course there will be frames that are slow, but when we're talking about average shot time, it does balance itself out. Unlike golf, we're not going to tap someone on the shoulder and say, you're on the clock. That's not the way we're going to do it. We're going to look at their figures, their shot times over a 3 monthly period initially. And if we feel at the end of the season that we need to incorporate this in the rules of play, then we will take that decision then. We set ourselves a target and we cannot understand over a long period of tournaments and seasons why 30 seconds should ever be consistently exceeded. But it is. And when it is, frankly, it's nearly always boring as hell. So I'm not going to alienate. I don't want everyone to run around like Alex Hurricane Higgins, but there is a 30-second movement towards the level of entertainment we expect. So you will see every 3 months there will be anyone over 30 seconds will be published on the website, plagiarised on social media, torn to pieces by you guys, and hopefully they will change and realise that their role as a professional sportsman is not just to win, but to entertain. We're very fortunate, as I see Betfred signage everywhere here, to be in an extremely strong position in sponsorship. Unlike a lot of sports, we have people waiting to be sponsors. This is unusual. It is predominantly gambling companies because we are giving them so much value for money. But nonetheless, we are always looking at other opportunities elsewhere. and I've been very pleased with the response we're getting. So when you look at a business plan, and all sport is a business, as well as being a great occupation and a great pastime, the sponsorship market pluses for us are enormous, as are our television partners around the world. But we're seeing a change in television. Linear broadcast is essential to taking free-to-air and paid subscribers, taking the entertainment value of a sport to a wider audience. But more and more digital applications are coming into the market, which I'm sure you're all aware of. So whether we're talking about Facebook, whether we're talking about Amazon, whether we're talking about PlayStation, whether we're talking about Netflix, whether we're talking about DAZN, there are innumerable customers out there. And our big growth push over the next few years will be via the digital marketplace, into territories where we are a niche sport, but nevertheless one that we can capitalise on. We will have 500 million people. As I said earlier this week, 1 billion eyeballs for those of us with 2 eyes. This is nothing disrespectful to someone with 1 eye, but 1 billion eyeballs, 1 billion eyes will be watching this World Championships. We have a huge available market in other countries, which we are experimenting with predominantly on Facebook at the moment. But talking to these digital companies that are expanding and opening up all around the world, this will be our next big push in terms of generating huge additional income for this sport. Our deal with the BBC is long term. Our deal with Eurosport and Discovery is long term. We extend ITV. Our deal with CCTV is 10 years. Our digital deal in China is 10 years. But there's another parts of the world where we can capitalise, and that you will hear more and more from over the next few months and years. We managed this year to abolish entry fees, again taking away another barrier to entry. By lowering the prize money, by looking at the prize money at the lower levels, I think players now have the opportunity, if they have that type of ability, they have the opportunity to live the dreams. Finally, we welcomed into our family this year a very new member, and I have to give Jason Ferguson the credit for this, is the World Snooker Federation, of which we are now affiliated to as the ultimate governing body of snooker globally. Whether or not we ever get into the Olympics remains something for people other than me to look at, because I'm a commercial animal, if you hadn't noticed, and the Olympics is something which I think WPBSA and particularly the World Snooker Federation will be following up. There is some controversy within snooker on various governing bodies. As usual, they will be totally and completely ignored. We have one federation that we work with, which will be the World Snooker Federation and the WPBSA, and that will be the only form of entry into World Snooker events. So as we approach what is going to be, I'm sure, another wonderful, wonderful Betfred World Snooker Championships, you guys have done us proud. Thank you very much. So far, I'm still watching what you do. So we've seen 5 former champions go out in the first round. We've seen drama. We've seen shouldergate. You know, I mean, is there anything else we can come up with you guys to create column inches? I don't know. But certainly century breaks, as you know, Betfred have put up a big prize for going past 75, which I think in layman's terms is a shoe-in, the way these guys are playing. I've never seen such entertainment, and I think the figures around the world are justifying why we call this our blue ribbon event. So that's the summary of where we are going, and if you have any questions, I'd be only too pleased to answer them, and of course take a celebratory game for a sport that is really moving at the type of pace that I only ever dreamed it could, and a lot of that is thanks to you guys. Any questions, guys? I don't think we need to do a shot clock if we've got this average shot time. I mean, basically the system would be, give them a year to sort themselves out and all embrace the fact that we want to be a bit more, you know, speedy for today's younger audience. If it doesn't work, the type of rule may well be, if you exceed in a match, average shot time of 30 seconds, warning. If you do it twice, yellow card. You do it third time, financial penalty. I don't like slinging people out of tournaments because I think, that's really the ultimate. By then it's easier to hit them in the pocket to actually focus their attention. And I hope it won't be necessary at all. I hope that people look and say, is that me? But I watched a game the other day with, I won't mention the player because it's rude to mention Hamilton, but I think his average shot time was 42 seconds. Now, this is not good. Paint drying comes to mind. And there are times when you will have a frame that takes an hour, we know, for whatever. I saw a frame last night which had the players not sensibly said, let's have a re-rack, we could have been there forever. So that's one of the joys of snooker, that it throws up that. But consistently through tournaments is a good way to drive audience away rather than bring audience in. So I think it's going to be warning, yellow card, financial penalty. But again, we may look at the end of this year or the end of next year and say, do you know what? Everybody's within 30 seconds. No need to do anything, which is great.
The calendar for next season is already outside.
Yeah.
I wonder, like from Portugal,
Yeah.
they have the major news that might have a proposition
Yeah.
from you guys for that we can have an event again in Lisbon.
I'm looking forward to it. Well, we have to be realistic. Lisbon, last time we was in Lisbon, we had good crowds, there was good atmosphere, but the game's moved on financially. So we look down, and I think the type of event is very similar to the event we brought into Romania this year, which is top 32, and it gives everyone the chance to get in that top 32, and if they're good enough, go to Lisbon and play a tournament. I think that's another level up, because I am aware this balancing act of keeping the top players happy with big tournaments and keeping everybody happy with lots and lots of open tournaments, there's a middle ground. And I think Lisbon would come under that middle ground. And I think it's at a price that doesn't scare off Lisbon and keeps everybody busy. As you know, I love people to be busy. I love people to be working hard. And I love to give them the opportunity. And if they decide they don't want to play, that's fine. There's plenty of other people that do. So I'm quite confident that within the next few months we'll announce something in Lisbon, and I'd love to see it happening.
So the fans might...
I think you can tell the fans, we're coming. Find us the money. Don't go crazy. We won't be greedy. But we will entertain you to a level to which you have never been seen before, because the Masters of the Green Bays are something that warms the cockles of your heart. It excites you, and we just sell you a seat, but you don't need the whole seat. You just need the edge to sit on. That's all you need. And we'll drink some Portuguese rosé, and we'll have some wonderful Portuguese food, and we'll enjoy the Portugal's people, because these players are ambassadors as well as sportsmen. And that's where I think some of them have really done an amazingly great job, and that's why we're in such a strong position. In the meantime, I'm in dialogue at the moment with various sources in the Middle East for one really major event, and that's going to take some very brave people to live the dream with us on the type of event I want to see. And that's another level of the game and how it's going to progress.
You mentioned new tournaments. Where's the Tour Championship going to be held?
Where's it going to be held?
Yeah.
Well, I've got 2 or 3 venues at the moment. I can't really say anything at the moment because I know where I want to be, but whether I can get it depends on horse auctions and things like that.
And what time of the year is that going to be?
That'll be in March. It's going to be a really hectic run-in. I mean, I think the great thing about it is players have the choice to play or not to play. If a young player that's starting off in the game, you want to play every single game, don't you? Because you're trying to make something. I understand some of the top players will pick and choose. I don't have a problem with that at all. Whether it's Ronnie O'Sullivan, Mark Selby, John Higgins, it doesn't matter to me. There's the opportunity, take it or not. And if you don't, what'll happen is someone else will nick all the prize money. And you have to be very careful to keep on the game, don't you, on this sport? Because the standard is, the shocks you see are not really shocks. The players that used to come here without really experience on the big stage have got experience because of the number of tournaments they've played. So you will get more and more of those shocks that aren't shocks. But gives us column inches, gives us something to talk about. And then the cream generally comes to the top as you go deeper into the event. We shall see. Going to be fascinating 12 months ahead. Lots and lots of changes coming. So we shall see. In Europe, it's our Eurosport contract has worked really well. And it's nice to see Eurosport get behind us more with more studio time, more guests. You know, it's a cracking watch as well, you know. Instead of switching to the red button, or when you can't get on the red button, you know, you've got consistent. And that's a message to the digital marketplace. The digital marketplace is based on total accessibility of when you want on whatever application you want to watch it on, which is why it's going to be humongous. But we mustn't lose our focus on our core business. You know, it's all about discipline and about working hard. Every day is another opportunity. And the day we miss one, you don't work for me anymore. Smile. Smile to camera. It's going to be fun. But it is a game. We're trying to win at World Snooker. We're trying to win the same type of competition that the players are trying to win on the table. We want to be bigger. We want to be better. We want to pay more prize money. We want to make more money. Because if it don't make money, it doesn't last. And you know, what we've done in 8 years, I mean, goodness me, this ugly duckling has become the most beautiful swan you've ever seen. And it's going to go bigger and bigger because we're successful everywhere. China's led the way for us, shown us what can be achieved. And how have they done it? How have they produced great players? Because they've put investment into grassroots, because they've created academies, and something the WPBSA is working on now. How do we spread the game? We don't want to end up being an elitist game that's only played by a handful of people. And you know, as I've always said, I mean, I looked at that little Haitian, excuse me with the pronunciation of his name, but what a great player. Where did he come from? You know, and guess what? There's 20 more in the queue that are going to be knocking on the door. And I want to see that. I'd like to see Portuguese players come through. I want to see Brazilians. I want to see someone from Iceland. I don't care. But I want them to be inspired by what they see on television, have the opportunity to play. Q School is a great cut-off for those 200 people that live the dream. Next year, next May, there'll be Q School in China, because we can't ignore the opportunities that have to be given to those players as well. So we're in really good shape, but the one thing we're not going to be is complacent. We won't be complacent with players, we won't be complacent with tournaments, we won't be complacent with prize money, but most important of all, we will give value to money to everyone, which is why we've changed the ticketing system this year. You know, I know there's a criticism of, should he wear a football shirt or not? You know, listen, it's one football shirt, whatever. But when you're selling the perception of a quality game, there's a bigger picture. It's not about wear what you want. Try and wear what you want if you want to go to Royal Ascot. You won't get in the door. Try and wear what you want when you want to go to your local golf club or whatever. There are rules, and there are perceived value rules. So that's insignificant, but at the same time, it's part of the message that we're sending off, that we're a game played by gentlemen in a quality environment. And before I finish, when we talk about played by gentlemen, I will just refer to Shouldergate. Now, I'm so proud to be chairman of World Snooker, and I'm so proud of snooker players, because we're proper men. You know that? I mean, let's be honest. It wasn't much of a physical contact, was it? But either of those people had been a Premiership footballer, they'd have been on the ground. There'd have been a red card for someone. They'd have fallen over. Snooker players are proper men. We don't fall over a little tiny nudge. It was highlighted by the occasion, the fact that it was intense and that it meant something. So there was a lot of positives in that for me. I thought Paul Collier, put on record, did an absolutely fantastic job by diffusing the situation, and actually no damage was done either to reputation or integrity. It was a bit exciting though. And you know what? Sometimes I'm not looking for Alex to come back and plant the old Glaswegian kiss on somebody, but it was intense and you felt that you was in a moment of drama. But let's not make it more than it was, because it was virtually nothing. That's me finished, guys. Anything else? Other than me saying thanks again? get out there and sock it to them, boys. Thank you very much for everything you've done for us.
Betfred, proud sponsor of the World Snooker Championship.